Is Sir Keir Starmer losing control of the Labour Party as his own Chancellor has been seen crying in the House of Commons, now gone around the world, those images. And it's been reported that Rachel Reeves had an altercation with the Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, shortly before PMQs began yesterday. Well, the Prime Minister has since backed the Chancellor to stay in her role, claiming that her tears were brought on by a personal matter. Although we don't know what it is, we don't know anything about it. And, of course, that hasn't stopped rumours swirling that her future is in doubt. But look, what a difference a day makes. This was just a few hours ago.
It's great to be here today. Thank you, Wes, and it's great to be here today also with you, Keir.
It's amazing what a makeover and a polished grin and a Richter screen can do, isn't it? Because the Chancellor has since spoken about the issue directly, clarifying it was indeed a personal issue.
Clearly, I was upset yesterday, and everyone could see that. It was a personal issue, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. But my job as Chancellor at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday is to be at PMQs next to the Prime Minister, supporting the government, and that's what I try to do. I guess the thing that maybe is a bit different between my job and many of your viewers is that when I'm having a tough day, it's on the telly, and most people don't have to deal with that.
Well, there we go. It's all sweetness and light today. But is this all just a cover-up for discontent within the Labour Party as the bond markets tumbled at the very sight of the Chancellor's tears? Well, to tell us more now is GBNews' political editor, Christopher Hope, and I'm joined by the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Mr Richard Tice. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Chris, I'm going to start with you because you were there earlier on. Sir Keir Starmer launching his 10-year plan for the NHS. A surprise guest rolled in. Rachel Reeves yesterday, too distraught to face the world, facing some kind of personal crisis, although we don't know what. Today, all sweetness and light. What a difference a day makes. But you were there, and I always ask you the same question. Up close and personal, what did you see?
All eyes on her. I was also in the press gallery chamber of the press gallery yesterday, watching her closely, watching tears fall down her cheeks. Alarming. We all saw the pictures on GB News. Today was all about the 10-year plan. They've raised $22 billion in last budget on national insurance increase. It happened, of course, in April. We've been here before. 5-year plan by George Osborne and Simon Stevens in 2014. I was there for that. 2017, Jeremy Hunt, Theresa May. I was there for that. We're used to these various plans. Outcomes not getting any better. How can Labour improve it? Well, they've got plans for a new NHS app. So on our phones, we'll be able to see how well we're doing. Need any further care. 1,700 more GPs, 4 million more appointments. That's where the money's going. But all eyes on Rachel Reeves. She was sitting there between Wes Streeting and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. 7 questions, all from the journalists, asking how is she? Is she OK? Is the pressure too much for her? One journalist said. Will she want to come forward to the microphone? She chose not to speak to us until after, in that clip you saw there. I was particularly keen to ask the PM what I think is what is worrying so many GB News viewers is the scale of this benefits bill. He lost £5 billion worth of cuts by hollowing out that bill on Tuesday. Add to that £1.25 billion for the winter fuel payment. That's £6.25 billion to be found somehow in this budget. And the IFS saying this afternoon it could be 10 billion, 20 billion required to be raised in this budget. We're looking at the scale of the budget we had last October, and that was a shock. And that was the last time she wasn't going to come back for more after that. She told the CBI conference, the Chancellor, and I was there for that too. So I put this to the PM. Is your government now afraid of cutting benefits? And here's what it told GB News.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Your benefits climb down this week was humiliating, but for many it's depressing because only a Labour government can properly reform the benefits system. Outside of the Timms review, is benefits reform off the table? And how will you meet this £6 billion black hole this autumn, tax rises or borrowing? And just finally, a duty of care to your team. Will you have a word with Lindsay Hoyle about what you said to the Chancellor in future, or anybody else?
I won't comment on the second issue, Chris, as you'd expect. But look, no, we are pressing on with reform. It is important that we reform the system. Welfare isn't working. The 2 examples that stick with me most are the million young people who are neither earning or learning. That is not good. That is not progressive. No government should be satisfied with that, and I'm not. And we got 3 million people out of work through ill health. Again, I'm not satisfied with that. And I know from having seen it for myself, how hard it is for some people to get back into work. I've seen and talked to people who have been through ill health and want to get back into the workforce. There's slight trepidation of doing so, fearing even trying, and that's why what we're putting in place, the right to try, for example, it may seem like a small thing. It is a huge thing for people who want to get back into work. The bill that we delivered on Monday obviously rebalances universal credit. That's been long overdue, and ensures that those with the severest disabilities don't go through unnecessary reassessments. That's been called for a very, very long time, and it's the right thing to do. And of course, Stephen Timms will now conduct this review. And I don't think you'll find anyone in Parliament who doesn't think that Stephen Timms is a thoroughly decent man of huge integrity, that we can have faith in to do the review and make the changes that are necessary. Thank you very much, Chris.
OK, the PM now answering our question, Martin. Crucially, he said Stephen Timms' review, that's the one we're looking at. That will only cut $5 billion, even if it's that much, because he's going to bring in other disabled groups. It might be less than that. And that is, it seems to me right now, the limit of this government's ambition on benefit cuts. That bill to go to $100 billion by the end of the decade, $5 billion is barely a scratch on that figure. That is worrying for anyone who worries about the scale of our bill. Let's
bring you in now. Richard Tice waiting patiently. Rachel Reeves insists she's totally up for the job. Is she actually up to the job?
Well, I think the reality is she realised yesterday that everybody in her party was against her. She had the Speaker apparently having a row with her. She apparently had the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, having a row with her. And she realised that all the backbenchers, essentially, in hollowing out that welfare ambition to save a minimal £5 billion, they're against it too. And I think she just had a moment of thought, this party is ungovernable. We cannot bring in any form of public spending cuts, even when it's clear the benefit system is being massively abused by so many people. And I think she just bubbled over thinking, how can we do this? And the answer is, they can't. This party has lost control of public spending. You're seeing it with the monthly borrowing figures, and I think you're seeing it with the markets, gilt yields going up, and it's going to be very ugly in the autumn budget. Very ugly indeed.
Yeah. Chris?
It's confusing, though, isn't it, for viewers, because your party wants to lift the two-child benefit cap. What's your policy on benefits? You seem to want that benefits bill to get bigger and bigger.
Our key theme and value is family. And with families, we need more children, British-born children. And so all of our policies are based around that. That's what we've got to encourage, but we've got to encourage work. And we've got to be really tough on the abuses of the welfare system, including ludicrous things like BMW advertising to be able to get their lovely new cars on the Motability scheme. This is absurd abuse. And that just sort of highlights it. It's everywhere. It's tens of billions of pounds that this government is not going to address. That's what they should be doing.
But how much more will your two-child benefit policy cost? That'll be billions too.
No, nonsense. It'll actually save money, because what we'll do is we'll get people into work. And you encourage work, and you encourage people in work, married people, to have children. Okay. That is crucial. That saves money, that grows the economy.
Richard Tice, are we inevitably now facing down the barrel of tax rises in the autumn? How, in the name of God, can you increase the size of the 22 billion black hole with it £5 billion in benefits, be it the U-turn on the winter fuel allowance, be it billions to change?
The answer is,
you name it.
The answer is there are huge tax cuts. Sorry, there are huge tax rises coming in this autumn budget in order to placate the markets, in order to cope with the vast increases in public spending, and yet the markets are about to realise, well, with tax rises means ever lower growth or no growth at all in the private sector, and that means we're going to be borrowing between 150 and 200 billion a year, and for the markets, that's going to get very uncomfortable very soon. Chris?
Just about the future of Rachel Reeves, I've got to push back on what you said earlier. It's denied a row with Angela Rayner, the deputy leader. There is speculation about some kind of conversation outside the chamber before Lindsay Hoyle triggered the tears from the Chancellor, but that is denied by the Treasury. Unless you saw more, you were in the chamber yourself.
What I saw from the Deputy Prime Minister was someone who was sitting rather smug-like, rather imperious, who
wasn't
leading across to a fellow female cabinet minister who was clearly in considerable distress, because everybody else saw it, except apparently her and the Prime Minister. So, I'm afraid, if there's a personal issue, then of course we would empathise and have sympathy with that. But the fact that they haven't clarified it, even privately, to journalists, confirms to me, I think they're making a bit more of that than is reality.
OK, we have to move on. Richard Tice, thanks for joining us. Chris Hope, thank you very much for your input. Thank you.